till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. Let's go. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all want a ring. Yeah, we all want to be free.
We beat the Bears, baby! Yeah! Oh, my God. Welcome to the post-game show. People will be coming in and out, but I got my man, Dan. What's going on, Dan?
How we doing, everybody, on a celebration Sunday?
2 wins in a row in the NFC North, and we got Ant-Man. What's going on, Ant-Man?
911, I'd like to report a load of Bears down. They are not looking good at this moment in time, ladies and gents. It is a bad day to be a Bear, and it is a wonderful, wonderful day to be a Lion. People, they say, we thrive when all the negativity is around, and that's what we do. I don't rush to come on a stream faster than when we win and when we beat the Bears, and I get to talk trash about them for an hour. This is what we live for, folks.
2 wins in a row, folks. Huge shout out to the Detroit Lions. We have a lot to talk about. Oh, my God. It looks like the Vikings could pull off the win there for the Bills game going on. They just threw it to the 2-yard line, but we're here to talk about our Detroit Lions. Dan, initial thoughts. Lions get this victory watching this game.
I mean, just a huge win for the coaching staff, for the players, everybody involved. You're trying to build a culture. You're trying to push the team, the city, the fan base behind you, giving them a reason to stick around and keep believing in what you're doing, whether you're Brad Holmes or whoever, and on top of that, you pull off a huge comeback win on the road, the largest win by a Lions team on the road, comeback that is, since 93.
Oh, it was beautiful. And, man, initial reaction, Lions get the dub. Speak, my man.
Oh, man, I've been through the blender. I think about an hour before the end of that game, I could not say how angry I was. After the 2 touchdowns, after the start of that second half, I was getting to, like, Patricia era levels of anger. And I was just like, man, we've seen this time after time after time. We screw up a good position at halftime. The offense comes out, doesn't play. They get too far in front. We can't get back. And I'm slumped on myself going, well, that's it, we're done. And then just that little spark. All it is confidence. With teams, especially when they're so young, I said it last week, you can't state just how much confidence is for a young team. We beat the Packers last week. And even though we got our ass kicked for 3 quarters this week, which when we had that little spark, they had the belief in there to come back in and win this one. We get the score. The D-line pressures the hell out of Fields, forces him to throw errant. Hefe gets it, in it goes, we're level. And even then, when we give up the touchdown to Fields right after, you're thinking, oh, God, we've come all this way. They still hit back. Why? Because they're confident and they've got no fear. And then we got the touchdown and you're like, oh, God, there's 2 minutes left, 2.5 minutes left. Have we left too much time on the clock? Are they going to get it? They start pushing downfield. You're like, oh, man, I've seen this again. Hutch comes up with the biggest sack of his career. Julian Okwara comes up with the biggest sack of his career. The Lions win out. And that's what that confidence does for you. It just makes you believe. And those plays come out. And I am delighted to be proven so wrong by it.
Oh, I love it.
At one point by this, I'd given up. And I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say, oh, it was all bright and rosy. You can check my Twitter stream. It really was not. But right now, I'm just so delighted for this team, for the coaching staff, for everybody. Because I want this to succeed. And wins like this show you that they're progressing forward. They were in such a tight spot, and they fought their way out of it. And I'm happy. I just can't stop smiling. I love it.
Watching this, they got the field goal. They're in overtime with the Bills and Vikings there. If the Packers lose, guess who's in second place in the NFC North? It rhymes with the Detroit Lions.
Right.
The Detroit Lions. Look, man, I am so happy to be wrong. I am so happy to see 2 wins. Winning is so much better than losing. It's not even close. You sleep better. Everything works out well. I got to give a shout out to this coaching staff. My God, I thought it was a well-coached game. Really did. I mean, there were some points in there you're like, come on. But at the same time, the Kuda pick six. I thought they did pretty good. The Aiden Hutchinson sack on third down on that final drive. They sacked twice on them. I loved how we were talking about this. You forced Justin Fields to pass, you win the game. And they forced them to pass. They had no choice, and it wasn't working, man.
No, absolutely not. But, I also want to give props, and it might not be the most popular one, but to Jared Goff as well, because we said this game was going to be won by our running game. We were going to run over them, take the pressure off him, throw in against that secondary. And early on, there were some errant throws. There were some ones I did not agree with, but for the most part, the amount of pressure he had to deal with, some of the throws he made under pressure, kept us going on drives down the field, clutch third down and long conversions. He helped. He was a massive factor in this win for us today. Jared Goff was, and I'm delighted for him. I'm delighted for the defense. We did give up 30 points, but like you said, they came up clutch when they needed to. Just in those moments when you needed to turn the game. Hefe did, Hutch did, Julian did. The guys for the most part, Hutch. Fields had the two really big runs. But outside of that, he didn't do too much because they were quite disciplined and did keep it to a minimum. Jared Davis came in and played well today. I think they all played with purpose today. And like I say, to show the mentality when you're 14 points down and the game is completely going against you, to force your way back into that game, get back to level, go behind again, and then still come back. It's just, this is the culture that Dan Campbell is installed. You're never beaten. And whilst you've not got the confidence levels, it's hard to see that in there. But today, now that you saw the little bit of confidence last week, you've seen what Dan Campbell's all about. This young team, they're raw. They have a long way to go. But on their day, when they're confident, they can beat anybody. And they showed that today. I'm just so happy for everyone in that locker room. Shows that the Packers game was not a fluke. Shows that we're moving in the right direction, shows that we're finally ready to compete with some of these other teams in the NFC North. We should have beaten the Vikings. We should be unbeaten in the conference
in the NFC North, we should be.
Exactly, and we've overcome the disappointment of that. So to get it against the Packers, then the Bears, and especially after all the smack they talked about us this week, they just thought they were going to turn up and beat us. It's so sweet. I just love it.
2 10 NFC North victories. And finally, Dan gets his first road win, and it's a good one. Good road win for Dan Campbell. What he did for this team, and it looks like the Buffalo Bills are coming back in overtime, so hopefully they win that game. For Dan Campbell, what do you got to say finally, Dan, that he gets the win?
Well, I think you look at Campbell, you look at Glenn, you look at Ben Johnson. All three of them, we've talked about it before, are very young, inexperienced coaches, at least in their current positions. But you can see the trend starting to develop with them and some of the younger players. They're all developing. Campbell doesn't seem to feel like he's got to go for it on every 4th and 9 or whatever situation. It's a much more controlled approach. Glenn, who used to just go straight man-to-man across the board, try to blitz everybody on 3rd and long, and we would get roasted by any quarterback at scramble, actually made adjustments and played alterations before the game and then during the game to keep Fields at bay. I thought they did a great job bringing in Okwara, using him on opposite side of Hutch, where they used Pascal less because Okwara is a lot more athletic and could help contain Fields better than Pascal could.
100%. 100%. I like the adjustments that he's made. I know a lot of people are mad that we allowed Justin Fields run, but that's what he does. And he's really good at it. And we did really good in the pass game, pass defense. Really did, can't say enough how well that they played. Literally, getting the disruption that was taking place in the Lions secondary. Did a really good job with Jeff Okudah and his pick six. Man, I couldn't tell you how happy I was to see Okudah get that pick six. To me, it's icing on the topping for this guy's year. He's had a miserable Lions career. Then this year comes much better. And then everybody's like, okay, we just need him to get a pick. He gets a pick six on a bad throw by Justin Fields. What do you think about Jeffrey Okudah right now there, Ant-Man?
Well, I thought it was a great defensive effort. It wasn't a bad throw from Fields. It was a throw under pressure because the D-line was swarming all over him. So I kind of like to give them an assist to that. So, Fields
100%.
was under. How many times have we seen Goff do it? He's thrown under pressure, bad throw, made the pick. Our defense hasn't done that in some time. And it's the first pick six since, what did they say, 2018? So it's a long time coming, this is. But, I mean, it was a great defensive effort all around. But I'm with you, with Fields, it's going to happen. At the end of the day, I'll talk my trash about them. They've lost, but Justin Fields is going to be a wonderful quarterback in the NFL eventually. When they start giving him something to throw at and someone to protect him, he's going to be dangerous. And I'm actually quite looking forward to this budding rivalry with the Bears now. We've got a really young team, only going to keep getting better, making its way towards the playoffs. They, of course, they've got a lot of money coming this season, a lot of draft picks. They're going to keep getting better. I think they're going to be two young teams who are really going to be going at it hammer and tongs for the next few years. So you have to give you credit to him for that. But, just in terms of this defense today, they came to play. And like I say, they struggled a little bit initially, but it's when it matters. It's not, a full 60 minutes of the game. You don't have to be on top all 60 minutes. You just have to show up when it really matters, when the game's on the line, and make the plays. And they did. Say the D-line finally got pressure. It made Fields throw that errant throw, got us back in this game. It came up with the 2 clutch sacks on the last drive of the game, which we've not had before. So, props to them all in there. Even the linebackers, like I say, Jared Davis played well. Barnes played well, given that there's no Malcolm in there, which is a blow. And Anzalone played well. It's been a while since I've said that. I know we got duped by Fields on one, but for the most part, they all stood up as one unit and performed when they needed to today. And, he's just a freakishly good guy who's going to be a great quarterback, and you're going to give up points to them. And there were a couple of busted plays, the Kirby Joseph, he messed up on a couple. But again, it happens when you're a rookie. He shouldn't be playing this many snaps, really, at this stage in his career. He had the great game last week, but it's going to happen. It's growing pains, so you've just got to live with it. And we did. But the point is, we came back from it, and they made plays when they needed to. So, defensively, we're starting to look better now. And like I say, it's all confidence-based. It's because there's just so many young guys. It's confidence. They're going to go to the Giants next week now, and there's going to be no fear in there whatsoever. They are going to want to go out and keep making a point, keep this winning feeling going. And a young team with confidence can win 12 or 13 games, whereas a young team with no confidence might not win any. That's the difference of level you're talking about here. So I'm just happy for them all.
And I got to say, too, this is 2 games in a row where the defense finishes the game. They did finish. They stopped Aaron Rodgers and they stopped Justin Fields win the game. Did you ever expect that in Detroit for some time? No, generally it's always one of those comebacks you got to see for the offense to come in there to get that point, but the defense stopped them. And I don't know about you, but I had confidence. When the Chicago Bears had the ball, I'm like, I think the Lions going to do this. I think because they did a pretty good job, and Justin Fields couldn't throw the football. And I'm like, my God, I think we're going to pull this victory.
I think when we got the first holding penalty, I was worried. Because I think on the first set of drives, we got the holding penalty. I thought, oh, God, here we go, penalty-wise. But I think that especially that Hutch sack helped a lot. He was our second overall pick. A lot of guys outside the organization, other NFL fans are trashing the pick for us taking him there. But that's why you draft him. That's why you draft a player second overall, so that when you're in those games where it's one play can turn it in your favor on defense, it's why you draft a guy
100%.
second overall to go out and make the play for you. And because of that, put him so far back that for the 4th down, we were able to send the house after him. I mean, we should have probably sacked him about 6 times before we actually did sack him. I was like, yes, we've got it. No, we've got. Yes, we've got it. No, we've got. Yes, we got it. No, we've got.
He's a heck of an athlete, though.
He is. I have a lot of respect for Justin Fields out at the end of this, and I have no doubt that he is going to be a pain in our ass for years, and he's going to win a good number of games against us. But at the same time, I'm very proud of how our defense dealt with him in this one. I think, like I say, if they keep growing, they're a young unit, they keep growing, we're going to be as big a pain in the ass for him as he will be for us. So, but yeah, we needed to see it, didn't we, Mike? It was kind of the point where we said, right, we need this team to show us now. We've believed in them. There's been a lot of faith there, but they've got to reciprocate a little. And these last 2 games, they've really stood up and reciprocated to the point where I'm like, hang on now. We're in a really good position now. We've still got some good games to come up. We can get some more wins going. And it's what this team needs. Not losing out and getting a high draft pick. It needs wins.
Got to win.
Show your young guys. Aiden Hutchinson can now go out there and believe that he can affect games and win them. Julian Aguara, after a very long time, me and you have given him a lot of tap. He comes out today, makes some really big plays, and it gives him the confidence to believe that he can be part of this defense now. This is more valuable than any draft pick. It really is.
It is.
So
way more valuable, and it's for the
100%.
coaching staff too, and the belief in them. Fans were turning. Myself, it's like I'm losing faith in these guys. These guys. It's like you got to win, and now they're starting to do it. And now, like at the end of the game, it's like I think they can actually stop them. That's the type of things they need to do. And you go to a road game, NFC North, where you're favored to lose the game. Everyone expects you to lose, even your own fan base, and you go out there and you beat them. And it's like, you know what? I think they're starting to believe. I think they're finally starting to believe. And when you start winning, they're going to believe in what the coaching staff says. They're going to enjoy the winning. Man, it's fantastic. I love it. I don't care about no draft spot. If you want to see tanking, we may watch the Rams lose, okay? There's something you can root for. We get that top pick with the Rams. That they're not doing that good, so let's root for them. I want the Lions to win every single game they can win.
Absolutely, 100%.
Dan, talk about it. What are your expectations now watching this team?
Well, I mean, let's look at both sides of the ball. We've got so many young first, second, a few third-year players in the league. People I get want the number one overall pick or a high draft pick. But I think those people really struggle to understand learning how to win and having confidence isn't just like a light switch you can turn on and off. It's something that comes through repeatable behavior. Most teams, if you go back, say like the Baltimore Ravens of the early 2000s, if they were faced with having to win a game by getting a defensive stop, their fan base would believe every time they could do it because they've seen it so many times. We've now seen it 2 times in a row where we're fighting probably 100 years or 70 years of Lions built-up frustration where the other team gets the ball with a chance to win. They're probably going to go down and score. But like you pointed out, Mike, that's 2 weeks in a row we've gone out there and actually stopped somebody with our defense. You can see how the guys are running into the locker room. They're cheering afterwards. The coaches, Aaron Glenn was sprinting down that tunnel into the locker room. These guys want to win. No player wants to go out there and lose, and especially in a sport like football. So I believe, where once upon a time maybe going to New York would have been a bit of a headache for some of these guys. You could hear just weeks ago when Hockenson got traded. By the way, the Lions are 2-0 since Hockenson got traded.
Yeah.
Taylor Deckard lamenting, he's so over losing. How much better do you think he feels about being a Lion today than he did 2 weeks ago on that trade? How much better do some of these vets now want to help push the younger players forward because they're going to get greedy? They don't want to end at a 2-game win streak. They want a third, a fourth, and they want this to carry on through this season and then into next season where I think we've got a real shot to do something.
Bears fans have been mocking us. Packers fans have been mocking us, and we just beat them both 2 times in a row. Okay, so that's something that you can't – that's something you remember. How many times have we lost games? It's like, oh, there comes the D-Toilet Lions, this, that, and the other. Not no more. It's like, you know what, man, this team is a physical football team. They're not giving up. They're fighting to the bitter end. We fought to the bitter end, man. Go ahead.
Look at the swagger in the team. You see Will Harris turning towards the Chicago crowd, going them to tell screw themselves. The belief in there. When Jared Goff got double teamed out of play, the Bears really been dirty today. And I know they're all bitching about the refs, but they were a nasty football team today and injured several of our guys. Goff gets hit by 2 players out of bounds. You see Penei Sewell going up to them, getting in their face. It's confidence. It's swagger. And that was what was missing. When we lost to the Vikings, that went missing because they started to doubt their ability to be able to close out these games and whether they could win. And, they were saying that's huge. That's huge for a team to not have that belief. And in the games that followed, the Patriots, Cowboys, you could see it. There was no confidence in there whatsoever. Now you're seeing that confidence return. And with it, it makes your team better. It sounds silly, but to have a fully confident team with a bit of swag in its step, with a bit of belief in itself, makes them so much more dangerous. The talent levels are the same, but the belief just elevates you that much. And I saw all these young guys on the pitch today giving as good as they got. Like I say, they're chirping a bit. They're a little more aggressive. They come into each other's defense. And, It's just little things like this that build your team going forward. It builds all the camaraderie in there. These young guys go through it all together, and they're winning games, and it's the best feeling that you can have as a player. Like I say, it validates the coaching staff. It validates the culture that they've put in there. It shows that you can have this culture. You can win games. You go out. You can, beat anybody. And I know it's the Bears, and people will say it's not the greatest level of opposition.
Don't care.
You've got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere.
And I will say that Bears team, as much talk as I talk, considering they've got no receivers, their O-line, they were missing their best guy on there today. They played damn well. They played really damn well, and they're not as bad a team as people think. So this is a
no
big
excuses
win
for
us.
winning. I will not put up excuses.
No,
I don't think so.
I
don't think so. It's hard to win if you're a Lions team, and I don't care who it is. I'm not going to put an excuse. Well, it's because of this, because of that. I don't care. You went on the road to Chicago and you beat them. You were everyone thought you'd lose this game, and you beat them. Okay, and then you beat defensively. You shut them out at the end, right there when you need to. Something that we've not seen in a long freaking time. A long time where a defense just sits there and is like, nah. And you had confidence. Ada Hutchinson, I got to give a lot of shout out to this guy. Lot of shout out to this guy, because this dude gets held on every play and his motor don't quit. This dude's motor is just nonstop. And like you were saying earlier, if you don't have a player like Ada Hutchinson that makes that pivotal play because the games are close, that sack was huge. That took him to 3rd and 18. It's like, oh my God, I think we're gonna win. And what happens? They're all scrambling. We get another sack, win the game. It was just huge. Who's your MVP of the game, Dan?
My MVP is probably going to go with. I'm going to go with Aaron Glenn as a coach, because he did it. He put these guys in a position to win. Down 14 points. He kept them in it. He dialed up a couple different defenses, kept Fields off bay in the Chicago Bear offense. And how big was that pick six by Okuda? And on top of that, after the big run, when Fields comes down the field, gives him back the lead, he finds another way to get stops to end the game.
Somebody says playoffs, laughing out loud. Look, I'm not looking at playoffs. I'm looking at winning the next week. That's it. If you go to New York and you beat the Giants, then we can start talking wild card at that point. I will then. I'll be like, okay, now you're on a 3-game win streak. You go to the New York Giants and you beat a team who's potentially is a wild card. We're talking about that would be a tiebreaker, but I'm not calling about it. I'm just calling win the next game. Build the confidence. I'm not expecting that, but improve. We win 3 games last year. We're at 3 now.
Yeah,
that's improvement, man.
Yeah,
and we're improving. There was regression in the beginning of the year, a lot of heat towards this coaching staff. Now we're seeing, okay, things are starting to turn a little bit there, Ant-Man, and I don't think anybody should be upset with the victory. I don't care about no draft. I don't care. It's the Bears. I don't care. It doesn't matter. That's who you face, and you went on the road and you won.
You've got a GM who can identify talent, so it doesn't matter where. We got Penei Sewell at 7. We got Hutch at 2. 2 generational players who are going to really leave their mark here. So, that's going to be the thing with them. So, but you're talking about MVP there. It's so hard to choose. But one who I think is very underrated for MVP, although had a massive game, I would give it to Amon-Ra St. Brown. With TJ Hawkinson gone, wide receivers falling all around him, he is our guy. He is so special of a player. What was it? 10 receptions, 119 yards. Pretty sure his first 7 receptions today were all for first down conversions. Talk about clutch. Mark Sanchez, I hate him. It was whittling on, the Lions have got no receivers. Look at all the injuries. Such a homer for the Bears. And, and he's like, but he's not mentioning Amon-Ra. You don't need guys around him, despite all this pressure. Despite the pressure of having nobody around him whatsoever, working with a load of backup tight ends, working with a load of backup receivers, receiving a lot of attention himself, goes out there and makes the clutch plays and makes this offense churn. That was like half the yardage Jared Goff threw today was to Amon-Ra. Caught a hit late on, and we all were worried when he took that hit late on. Took 1 play off, he's back in again. He's hard as nails. He is what this new Detroit is. is a team of hard asses, but they're not just hard asses, they're talented hard asses who can do more than just grit through games. They can make those vital plays when you need them to. And he was critical today in an area, like I say, where he had no reinforcement or backup. He just played lights out. So Amon-Ra is just, he might end up being one of the best Lions draft picks ever if he carries on going the way he is. And that ain't hyperbole. That's how good he could potentially be. And all those Bears fans that said Mooney was better at the start of the season, well, you've seen today just how damn wrong you are.
Amon-Ra, and guess what? We got help coming. Jameson Williams sitting there. Say we win the Giants game next week Sunday. You're sitting there just a couple weeks away from our game changer, first pick. Jameson Williams come in there.
The Buffalo
I'm getting excited thinking about this, Dan. We haven't felt 2 victories in a row, and then knowing we're getting healthier. Pascal came back a couple weeks ago. You got Jameson Williams getting closer.
Just imagine it, Mike. 3 wins in a row. The Buffalo Bills are coming to town. Jameson Williams is getting activated. This team is full of confidence. I mean, they have nothing to lose in that game. And they are going to be a team who are maybe going to shock here. They really could. And again, that's what this confidence does for you. You've got a load of stud young players coming out the draft who are making plays and are showing no fear. That elevates them. And suddenly every team should be scared of playing you.
Can I tell you who the most underappreciated player on this team right now is, last couple of weeks? I say even the last year and a half. How about Khalif Raymond, man?
Yeah.
Make a big old 44-yard catch, and boom, just goes in there, makes a giant play. I love what I'm seeing from Khalif Raymond. Look, he's not our number 1, number 2. They may not even be a number 3. But dang, man, he makes a big play when you need it, Dan.
I mean, he's got something that we really don't have until Williams gets here, and that's speed. I mean, we had some with Shark, but he's going to be out until who knows when. So defenses are able to focus so much on stopping St. Brown, even though they didn't do a great job of it today, just because there's the perception none of the other receivers can really kill you. But Raymond, not just today, but what was it, against the Cowboys? He had a couple big plays. He keeps showing up, I think, because people fall asleep on him. But that guy, he's got wheels. He might not have size, but you still have to get out there and defend him.
Tom Kennedy, too. Absolutely. Guys, just catches everything. Tom Kennedy, man, he's the preseason hero, and he's being a hero so far in the regular season. We need him. And, man, what's your thoughts on Tom Kennedy, Khalif Raymond, these guys stepping up when we need them to?
Again, it's just sort of indicative of this team and its philosophy. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, what your draft stock is, what your reputation is. You take the opportunity, you come in this team, you make plays, then there's a spot for you. And the players realize this. So they realize that if they play hard, they play tough, they make plays, there'll be room for them. And, it spreads throughout the entire squad. I mean, they've been ruthless with their vets. I mean, Michael Brockers we've not seen in a month now. Amani's had a stint on the bench. All these guys, it's like, well, doesn't matter if you're a vet. You are likely to ride the pine as a UDFA who is here. So this is a meritocracy. And people are going out there and acting like it because they know they'll get their rewards. I mean, you saw Jerry come back last week and put in a big performance, even though he's just back from injuries. Yes. I need to play like this if I want a spot in this team. I can't use been out so long as an injury for an excuse. I'm going to come in and make plays. They're all doing it across the board, and they're elevating one another. So, it's just how much it flips a team, this winning business. That's why I never will get on board with losing, because winning does so much more for your franchise and the mentality of your players. Like I said, we've seen TJ leave and said he's sick of losing. Well, all these young players here now are discovering something that he never did with us, which is a winning culture, a winning locker room, the ability to go out there and win games when it's all going against you. And that's going to be worth more to this franchise going forward, like I say, than anything else that you get from losing. So, like I say, it's all over the shop at the minute. Vets are standing up. Jamal Williams, another great day. He's another underrated person. He's taken up the slack.
Has he number 1 back now? I don't know.
9 touchdowns.
It feels like it.
9 touchdowns on the ground this year.
Is he jumped Swift?
Yeah. Swift looks like he doesn't care at the minute, I think.
He does.
And I'm not too sold on him at the minute, whereas Jamal Williams has put his head down, he's grafted hard, and he's had some hard times, but more recently, he's got more swag in his step as well. The good start to the season, the touchdowns, they're trusting him in those situations to go and get the scores for them. They did it today. And I think the confidence is paying off. You can just see him running harder, but been a bit smarter. I think when he first came here, he was a bit kind of a lumper where he'd hit and see what he could get. Now he's been a bit more smart with his running, where he's going, finding the gaps, but still hitting with that same intensity. So, Jamal needs a hell of a lot of credit for this. You saw it in Hard Knocks and everything. He cares, and this team needs players who cares. For too many years now, they have players who just come and pick up a paycheck and do not care. So having guys like Jamal in this team just inspires everyone around him.
Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift. There was a difference when one was on the field and the other one wasn't. When Jamal was in there, I don't know, it felt like, okay, this guy wants it. But when Swift was in there, it's like, I know he got that touchdown, but there was a different energy. There really was. Dan.
Mike, when you talk about that, I want you all to think back to the Cowboys game. I think the staff wanted Swift to play. I think Swift said, "Nah, I'm not 100%. I can't go yet." Because ever since then, he's been more or less used as a change of pace back. He hasn't been a primary back since then.
Justin Jackson was getting. I mean, I think Swift falling on the depth chart. I think officially I don't even know if he's number 3 at this point because they're using Justin Jackson a lot. I don't know if it was injury or what, but Swift it didn't. He had that one touchdown, but other than that, it was booty cheeks for him. Just like the energy wasn't there. You're like, oh, Swift got it. That's not what you usually think.
I feel like he's another one of the guys who's jaded by this. I think he's too jaded from the losing, and maybe it requires a fresh face who isn't. It kind of does feel like he had given up a little bit. He's not willing to get the contact anymore. He's not willing to put 130% into this team like everybody else is. And Jamal is, he's getting paid a lot less. He's getting paid, not great. Jamal is. He's going out there week in, week out. He's epitomizing, what you want: the leadership, the grit, the toughness, the determination. And you've got to have players like that in your team, and that's why this defense has been better recently. As I say, you've got in guys like Pascal who's back and is hungry. Jacobs is back, he's hungry. Barnes is getting better, he's hungry, he wants it. And that's what happens. The more of these guys you have in your team who want it and are prepared to give everything for it, the more you're going to win games. And, slowly we're phasing the ones out who aren't. And I feel like maybe Swift is one of the next few who's going to get phased out.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. Like, looking at it right now, just the last couple of weeks, watching Williams over Swift, I'm like, you know what? I'll re-sign Jamal Williams. I wasn't thinking that before the season. Like, you know what, man? He's really pushing everything he can, and he's given everything he has. And Jamal Williams is being that leader. He looks like he's taking that next step for leader. Brock Wright as well, getting his first touchdown this year. Good Brock Wright. Zane Zylstra almost made a crazy catch. I'm fine with him dropping it, though. That was a tough one. But the tight ends continue to be fine without TJ Hawkinson. Dan, TJ Hawkinson, it's like offense is the same.
Well, like I said, 2-0 without Hawk, plus we picked up a second. But the other part of it is I think the Lions staff wanted guys that were more prime blocking first tight ends who get out and catch passes, where, Hawkinson, for all of his greatness, he's more of a catcher first. He's not, I don't remember what it was, but when the trade came out, he was like number 42 in all the NFL in blocking. And you're a starting tight end. Shouldn't you be at least 32 instead of 42? So I think we're seeing the running game benefit from Hawk not being in there. The passing game might not be as great, but we're not really seeing a huge drop-off either. You look at Mitchell, you look at whoever they're putting out there, whether it's Brock or Mitchell or Zylstra, they're all still catching. They're all still getting yards. It's coming from more of a group mentality than a singular person.
And I just want to say it was a ballsy play call for Wright's touchdown. You're on the 1 yard line. You've been stuffed a few times. The Bears looked like they were good. You would have been forgiven for letting them try again, try and run it over the line. And the Bears bit hard on the run.
Ooh, I loved it.
Convinced them they were going to go for it. And they just got the tight end on the edge, making it look like he's going to block. Then he goes out. I thought that was a really ballsy play call. And
I
because
thought it was perfect. If you're
Yeah.
watching my live stream, that's exactly that's one of my favorite play calls. Great fake, wide open. Before that, they had Jared Goff roll out. I thought was a terrible play, but then they did that. I loved it. I was like, yeah, go for it. This is where you go for it. Do a play action to tight end. That's the play that works. Loved it. You know, coaching was really good. My favorite thing though in this game, I'm not gonna lie, I've given Jared Goff grief, a lot of grief, but you know, I praise him when he's good, praise him when he's bad. Well, him barking and getting mad and screaming at the defender, I effing loved it, man. I was like, yeah, get him, man. Now that's what I want to see out of my quarterback. I want to see him jawing back and forth. I want to see that swag, man. That's what we've missed, I think, in Detroit for a long time, is to have that quarterback just not give an F. And when he did that, I thought it fired up the whole team. I was like, oh, it fired me up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I say it's infectious. It goes around the team. You know, they see one guy do it, and they're like, no, why can't I do that as well? Why can't I get a bit jawry? Why can't I start giving a little bit of get a bit of tap back for them? So it's what you want. Your quarterback's the most vital player on your team. So to see him do it, it's what you need. So again, it was just wonderful to see. And they say it just seems to be coming together now. I know there are some bits that need to go. I mean, the quarterback handoff to a static running back needs to go. The lining up a running back on 3rd and 1, 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage and getting stuff, that needs to go because it's horrible and it makes me tear my hair out. But overall, I think you're starting to see the foundations that are starting to settle in now. Sometimes it just requires a bit of luck.
And this is what we needed. We needed a couple wins to change that, but we definitely did. And I love it. Draft Corum. I would love to have Corum on this team, by the way. Good Lord, that dude's a beast, man. He's a little muscle hamster. What do you think about Jared Goff, man? Getting angry, getting in the face. I loved it, Dan. I thought it was awesome. That's what I like seeing.
Well, you need to see from all your players, let alone your quarterback, that it's important to them that whatever the outcome of the game is, it's meaningful and has purpose to them. So somebody's going to push him. I love the fact Penei Sewell and all the teammates ran over because you don't want to see any of your players get pushed out of bounds and punked. But now that Goff got up, he got after some people, he started jawing, you saw other Lions come over and support him.
Yeah, it reminds me of a couple years ago when Stafford ran into the defender, knocked him down. He talking all that like this. I love seeing that. You don't want to see it all the time like in Aaron Rodgers where he's always running his mouth. But you want to see – they want to see this guy's a gamer. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to fight you back. It was last year. Right. Penei Sewell did that to Aaron Donald. I loved it when he got in his face. Like, I'm not backing down. That's what you want to see from your team. And – someone said it earlier. One of you guys said about the confidence of the team starting to build. Maybe that was you, Ant-Man. This is great. This is great for this team. It's great for Dan Campbell. It's great for the fan base to see this happen. Now we go into New York. 3 weeks ago, I said there's no way. I'm not so certain about that now. This team's really starting to take that physical attribute. They could go to New York and get that win there, Ant-Man.
Oh, absolutely. And that's all you needed. You're playing a lot of these teams around you who's maybe similar skill levels, similar situations and that. And you need to have every advantage in the book you can get. And confidence is a big one. It really cannot be understated just how much confidence does for you. I mean, you look at some of the teams, look at the Jets. They are a very young team as well. And they've got some good pieces on there, but a lot of young guys who are making really big plays for them. And you've seen they got wins under the belt. They got the confidence there, and it led them to be able to go to the Buffalo Bills of all teams and take them down. It levels the playing field. Having a confident team full of guys who believe in themselves really levels the playing field. And the Giants, they out of the New York side, they're the one who've been a bit more erratic recently. They've got a quarterback. He's nothing like Justin Fields. He is very static, prone to making mistakes, bad under pressure. And, Hutch and Pascal and all these guys now got to be thinking, well, hang on. What we did to Justin Fields today was arguably a much better quarterback. There is no reason we can't go to this guy's home next week and make life utter hell for him, get some forced fumbles, get some picks in there. Now, the offensive line might be a little bit better, but again, nothing you fear. Hutch ain't going to fear going up against Andrew Thomas now. He's going to go there and believe that he can best him one-on-one and make plays and give the Lions another win on the road. And it's not a team we should fear anymore. 2 weeks ago, if this would have been before the
Yeah.
Vikings game, we would have really feared this team and what they could have done to us, because the Giants are the ones who had the belief at the time. Now, it's all switched. There is no reason we can't go there and beat them if we carry on doing what we're doing. If we cut out the mistakes, learn the lessons we need to, there is no reason that we can't go there and win. So it just changes the entire outlook on your season. It really does.
The Lions are, I love it, man. It's just, we're getting the wins. It feels so good. The top is so much better than the bottom. It's so much better. 50 Cent, a great man, a great person, said that before. Top is so much better. Bottom. Dan, do you think we go to New York and beat them up, get that dub?
Absolutely. I think we match up very well with them, especially the way the young defense is starting to play. It's my guess, too, we'll get some pieces back on offense. I think, Josh Reynolds will probably be back to help the wide receiving core. We're really trending up at the right time. The younger players are developing. The older players are going to start believing more and more, like we said, they want to win, especially if they've been here for a few years. They're over the losing part. They want to get victories. So shutting down their offense, I think, is something we can do. And I do think if we get Reynolds back and maybe a couple of things go our way offensively, we can score on them.
Yeah, we can score on them for sure. And if Reynolds Rap can come back, and at some point, DJ Chark's got to come. He's not going to come back in this game, but we'll be back on offense full strength. And then JMO comes in the game, and who knows, man? Thanksgiving could be a fun one. Now he's not going to be in that for that game, but the Vikings beat the Bills today. Maybe the Lions could surprise and get that victory on Thanksgiving and Turkey Day, pull off a victory. Hey, man, look, if you win games, you find ways to win. That's what good teams do. Bad teams find a way to lose, and now we're on a 2-win streak. Let's go on a 3-win streak. It's all about wins. Ant-Man, what do you got to say, before we close this bad boy out?
I just want to say how delightful this is, really. This is, it's been a bit of a surprise these last 2 weeks. It kind of felt like we were meandering towards a season where it just wasn't going right, and you couldn't see where the upturn was coming from. But the players have dug down. The players have really surprised me in a good way. And, it's what we wanted. It's what we needed to see. This team needed to show the fans of Detroit that it had the same fight and the same passion they do when they believe in the team, and they have. And now all of a sudden, it's starting to come together. And, it's like, as doing this, there's no greater feeling than being able to come on these shows and smile and laugh and talk about a great performance and praise the players. I love praising the players. I love praising the staff. I love watching this team develop. And I think, this is just sometimes why you have to wait a little bit and pay it off. I know people were getting frustrated. I myself was getting a bit frustrated about what was going on, but sometimes you just have to wait a little bit of time and you see the payoff, and you're starting to see the payoff now from what we've had. The draft picks are coming back from injury. We're getting other players back from injury. This is the team that they had in mind when they drafted and when they signed all these guys, and, they believed how it could play, and you're starting to see it on the field now. So, just a big congratulations to everyone who's done it. And I couldn't be happier at this moment in time. And I look forward to seeing where this is going, because we've got reason to be optimistic again. Now, I know the record's 3-6 and people say, oh, well, it's just 3-6 and that, but I don't care. I look at the bigger picture here, and the bigger picture is now that we're going in the right direction. That's exactly where we need to be.
Big win, Dan. What do you got to say to close this bad boy out?
You can't build confidence. You can't point the team in a direction without victories. Now that you're getting some victories, if you're Motor City Dan Campbell, people are going to listen. They're going to have more faith in what you're preaching. Same with all the coaches. And if they can get a few more wins here, string them in together, now you're even in I hate to say it, but you're in somewhat of a playoff picture. So come December, if we can get 1 or 2 more wins before December, you put up those big boards, who's in the hunt, we're in there. And you keep players, you keep coaches, you keep the whole, Lions franchise pointing in that direction, giving them a reason to believe.
Appreciate everybody hanging out. Lions win. Enjoy it. Make sure you guys eat some dinner because that's what I'm about to do. With that said, folks, adios.